I was looking at this video and I was really fascinated by this thing, this contraption. And I thought maybe I can create it in HTML and CSS. So yeah, let's try to create this using HTML and CSS. So I created a sandbox. So I'll start with a div with a class name of container, and inside this we'll need to create a lot of rectangles. So for this we'll use a function which will generate those div elements which will be squares. So I'll create a simple range function for this, which will take n number and return an array which contains n elements. We'll populate the array for index. Okay. This should be n and array dot push I. Now we'll create the square elements using this range function. Range, let's define n, const n is equal to 10 for now, n, and we'll map these items to div elements. Let's give a class name of square to this. So far good. Let me put some value inside this. Let's put I. So we'll be able to see these numbers or elements. Okay. Let's go to styles. I have already centered the container, and inside this we'll give this square elements some height and width. Height 100 pixels, width as well 100 pixels. Okay, did I mistype something? SQUARE. All right, so far good. Now instead of this square, we'll give them some border. Let's remove this color and give some border to this squares. Border 4 pixel solid red. Okay, so what's the next thing? We'll stack them on top of each other. So here we'll say position absolute, and here we'll give position relative for that absolute to work. Okay, so now these squares are on top of each other. What's the next step? Okay, so they are not exactly on top of each other. They are, two edges are common. Okay, so let me see if I can show you exactly what I mean. Yeah, maybe here. So you see this edge and this edge is common, and the sizes of the squares are different. Okay, so let's first start with the size. Let's make the squares different sizes. let's see how to do that. So instead of setting this height and width here, what we can do is we can set the height and width of the container, and here we can give inset as 0. And if we give the inset a negative value, let's say negative 10 pixels, this will grow. If I give 20 pixels, it will grow even more. So we can use this inset to have squares of different sizes. Alright, so we'll go back to here, and what we can do is we can pass a CSS variable to each of these div element. We can do something like style. Let's give some variable name index, square index, and I. And we go back to the style, and let's set this inset value based on that variable. Let me copy paste the value so that I don't type it incorrectly. Square index, right? So this it should be negative square index. Let's say calc -1 pixel into this square index. Let's see if this works. Start and offset of an element. It depends. I don't know what's the issue here. We got the variable calc spelling mistake. Here we go. Let's say we multiply it by 6 pixels, 10. Okay, now we have these squares with different sizes. Now what we can do is we can rotate them. Okay. Let's see how we can rotate. Let's take the first element and try to rotate that. And child, let's take first element and rotate. We will use transform and rotate 45 degree. So it's rotating on the Z axis, but what we want is we want it to rotate on the X axis. So this is X axis, horizontal, the Y axis is vertical, and Z axis is pointing out of the screen. Okay. So we have rotated it by 45 degrees on the Z axis. Now we want to rotate it on the X axis. So let's see if I can do that. How to do that? We can use rotate X by 20 degree. Is it working? 45 degree. Okay, it's definitely rotating. To see the rotation, what we can do is we can enable perspective 3D. We'll have to set a property called perspective. Let's say 100 pixels. Now we see this is actually rotated. So let me give some color to this background color, maybe gray, just some color to see that this is rotated. For the time being, what we'll do, we'll disable or remove all other squares and we'll focus on one square. So instead of n10, we'll make it 1. Let's see if we can give this perspective here instead. Okay, and something else needs to be set. Perspective, CSS perspective. So what another property is, since we shifted the perspective to immediate parent, from immediate parent to the higher parent, we need to set some other property here to carry forward this perspective to the children. CSS perspective. Let's see what else we need to do. Perspective. Okay, maybe what I'll do is, I have already used this perspective in some other uh, sandbox. Let me pull that up. Rubik's Cube. Okay, CSS perspective. Yeah, so we have set the perspective. Flow, scene, cube, animation, text decoration. Somewhere we have used the perspective. Give me a second to find that. So scene, where are we using the scene? Perspective scene. Okay, let's go into the scene, and for the scene we have set the perspective. Right? Going back to scene, we have simple cube, and here's transform style preserved 3D. This is the one I'm talking about. So here, to carry forward that perspective, we need to set this transform style preserve 3D. So now you see, this cube, or sorry, this square is flipped by 45 degree, and part of it is behind this container. Let's say if I set this container to semi-transparent, RGB, and transparency is 4. Okay, so now you see it is semi-transparent, and this part of that square is projected, or is coming outward towards you, towards out of the screen, and this is inside, in the z direction, negative z direction. Okay, and this green container is at the 0. So yeah, that's how we have rotated it. But again, that's not exactly what how I wanted to rotate it. Or how I wanted it to rotate was this along this axis, x-axis. But since we rotated the cube by 45 degree, now the axis itself is tilted by 45 degrees. Okay, so it's rotating, the x-axis is now this 45 degrees. So somehow, if we could rotate the x-axis by negative 45 degree, then we'll be able to flip it using this horizontal axis. Now I'm not exactly sure how to do that. We'll have to search a few things. Let's see, we rotated it by 45 degrees, and transform origin, transform perspective. Where are the perspective related things? Yes, as reference, perspective origin. Let's say, can I shift the perspective origin? Perspective origin x-axis. Define where the view is placed at the x-axis. At the x-axis, left, center. This is shifting the things, but we want to rotate it. Perspective. I'm not sure I'll be able to pull that off. Okay, let's see. perspective origin, perspective 3D. What is perspective 3D? Transform style perspective 3D. Okay, how about before rotating? No, no, pardon. There is a 3D transforms. Let's see if we can have some tutorials. Rotate in Z direction, perspective origin, fit transforms origin. Okay, transform style, perspective origin. Let's look into this transform origin property. Oh, it's the same thing. Transform origin. X-axis, Z-axis. Oh, I don't know. CSS rotate axis origin. I'm just trying to search something. I don't know what I'm doing. Transform origin. I already seen that one. Transform origin. Oh, let's look into CSS tricks. Click me. Okay, so we can transform. No, this is rotating on the Z axis. These are all rotations on the Z axis. But what if we I don't know. Perspective transform style. I don't know. This might take a little more time than expected. Transform origin. This is just shifting the origin point. Okay, I'm running out of ideas here. You know what? We'll just try something. We'll see if that works for us. Transform origin. Yeah, it will shift and then rotate x 45 degree. Wow. I don't know what happened. Let's see if we make it 50% and 50% first, and we'll try to play with these values. This is just shifting it somewhere. I don't think it's working. This is also shifting it. No. How about we change the sequence? We rotate it first on the Z axis and then on the Y axis. Oh, seems to be working. Let's make it 30 degree. I think this is working. Let me increase the perspective to 200 and let me try to rotate this now. Awesome. I think this is exactly what we wanted, right? So what exactly did we do? We rotated X by 30 degree. Okay. Let's make it 0 degree. I'm trying to understand how this works. So we rotated in the X direction by 30 degree and now we want to rotate it. Okay. So X and okay, after rotating it on the x-axis by 30 degrees, then we are rotating it in the z direction. So z direction is now tilted by 30 degrees. It's not perpendicular to the screen. It's slightly upwards by 30 degrees. Now we are rotating it by 30 degrees. You know what? I think this can work. We'll give this a try. We'll go with this. I think we don't need this now, right? What happened? Yeah, 45 degree. Yes, we don't need that anymore. If I say 45 degree, let's test if this is 90 degree. It vanishes completely. Right? So 91, it appears as. I think yeah, this might work. We'll give this a try. Cool. Another thing that I was thinking, instead of rotating it on the Z axis, let's see if we can rotate it on the Y axis. Yeah, instead of Z axis, we'll use Y axis. Y axis. What's happening? Why this is not recognizing and giving me that circle where I would be able to change the values. Let me just refresh everything. Now here it is. We don't want to change this, we want to change this. So now this is how it will appear when it is rotating. Yeah, this is exactly what we want to do. Awesome, so far good. But looks like the width. Let me check what's the inset value of this. Is it the same as that of the background color? Yes, so we are good. Awesome. Let's again set the rotation, and instead now we'll animate it. Okay, so we'll do the animation. Keyframes @keyframe rotate. Let's go with this from to. Let me copy paste this inside from. Rotate, start from 0 degree till 360 degree, and we'll give animation here. Animation name is this rotate. Sorry, copy paste, duration 10 second, timing function linear, and delay 0s, iteration count infinite, direction forward, or we can simply ignore this. Let's see how it looks. I think it's looking great. Now let's put other squares, 10 squares. Wow. uh, Let me increase the perspective size to maybe 400 for now. Awesome. So all these squares are rotating. Now let's make them rotate at different speeds. Okay. What we can do is, instead of rotating all the squares by 360-degree, we can multiply it with this value, where so the rotation speeds will be different for different squares. So let me put this on the new line so that you'll be able to see. Okay, where what's the issue? Calc, I think I'll need to use the calculation function here. Okay, now all the squares are rotating with different speeds. Zeroth square is not rotating, and we'll do one more modification. Instead of the outermost square rotating at the highest speed, we'll make the innermost square rotate at the highest speed. So for that we'll need to do something like 10 minus this. Now the innermost square is rotating faster than the outer one. So instead of hard coding this, we'll pass this as a CSS variable to container. So like this, we'll say n as n. Okay, going back, we can say var minus minus n. Awesome. So all the squares are rotating. But I don't know, man, it's not that amazing as I thought. Something is missing. Let's remove the numbers and let's increase the number of squares by 40. Wow. Something is definitely happening. I'll have to increase the perspective even more, I believe. How about 1000? 10,000? What's happening? Even more. 10,000. 10, 10, 10. I think it's hanged. I'm not sure what's the issue. Let's reduce the container size to 10 by 10. This will reduce the size. Let's start with 20. Let's gradually increase them. Okay, something is definitely happening. 100 pixels, 200 pixels. Wow. It's like we are inside those loops. Let's make them 2000. Oh yeah, 2000 seems to be working fine. 20,000, no effect. Let's start with 2000. But still something is missing. I feel something can be changed. for the time being, I'll pause this animation. What if we increase the border a little, 5 pixel? Let's make them 10 pixel. So there is no border. Or for now, let's start with 9 pixel and plug in the animation again. Let's increase the timing duration to 30. Refresh. I don't know, it's not giving me that wow. Okay, what else can be done? Something is definitely missing. Let me give some thought. Let me. It's not as impressive. Okay, how about we animate the container as well? Okay, how about we animate the container to rotate in the x axis, on the x axis. So let's say keyframe @keyframe rotate container. Okay. From to transform rotate x from 0 degree to 360 degree, and we'll use this animation rotate container. We'll give 10 seconds, timing function linear, delay 0 seconds, iteration counts infinite, direction, and we'll simply ignore. Now let's see what's happening. I'm restarting it. Now that's better. This is definitely better, I would say. Okay, not bad. Still not that awesome, but okay. What if we give some different value? Okay. Instead of squares, can we say, can we make them circles? Let's make this 5. Let's see if we can make these circles. Border radius 50%. This is much better. What do you think? I can keep looking at it. How about instead of making it till whole 360 degree, we'll say 0% and 100%, and we'll go only till, let's say, from 0 till, let's say, 90, 90, 90. So we'll go to, let's say it starts from minus 80 degrees, we'll go to 0 and then positive 80 degrees, and it will repeat back and forth. So this is not continuous, right? It's going to 80 degrees and then again jumping to minus 80. So instead of this alternate, let's try this. Okay, this can work. Awesome. For time being, I'm stopping this animation, not this animation. Okay, while we are at it, let's see if this is working as expected. So it went to now it's 0 degrees. But again, why it's not appearing 3D? For the timing, let me remove the border radius. So I want to check if this is 3D. Maybe reduce the perspective a little. Yeah, definitely 3D. I thought it's not appearing 3D. Maybe let's put 1000 here so that that 3D effect is more pronounced. Now let's make them circles once again. But for circles there's no that 3D effect is not that pronounced. But for the squares, you can see this leading edge is, the length is much more than that trailing edge. Let's put the animation once again. Let's see how it appears now with the 3D rotation. I think circles were better. I think we'll go back to circles only. Okay. Wow. That's definitely nice. Let's see if we can increase the border to 8 pixels. No, I think not that awesome. Instead of plain border, can we make the the border color a gradient? So let's say border color, border gradient. What is this animating border? Animations, CSS gradient, border gradients, gradient borders. Okay, I will have a look. Animating border. I know I'm digressing, but I'm trying to have fun and maybe learn a little more. And this is okay. Let's move on. What's happening? Animating a CSS first. Tail of border gradients. Yeah. Okay. Maybe this will do for us. But we want a radial gradient. Okay. I have a gradient. I have a gradient. Documents. Approach. Let's look at this CSS. Border image source. Linear gradient. We'll give this a try. Okay, instead of linear gradient though, we'll try radial gradient and we'll see if that works for us. Meanwhile, let's search something else as well, right? What is this video?
Copies. You don't want to make for that if you elements. So let's look at the code at the top for us. I mean, there's and I didn't because it has to stop. You can imagine what would be happening down here. It would be a big kind of disaster. It would not look like what we've been trying. It's bound to be changed. This, have a border gradient. It's weird.
Okay, let me search a little more before going with that border gradient. Generator. Let's look at generator as well. Border color. Border image. What was that property? Border image source, and this is border image linear gradient. We'll try everything. Border image. Background image. Okay, what's this?
And we're using it, and now the colors don't really matter. Border asks
mask. Okay, they're using
applied
mask.
to the border because it's using utility classes,
and you can. We don't want to try it. Mask border image. I think this is border image slice. What is border image slice? Okay, let's see something else as well. Padding. Border width. Let's increase the border width. So border radius, let's make this 50%. Can I edit this? No, it's not editable. Color palette, generate some complementary colors. Let's see what we can do. What's happening here? Gradient 1. What is this arrow? Cannot move anything, or I don't know. Can I change this? Nothing seems to be happening. Hmm. Stop transparent. Okay, radial. Let me delete everything first. We'll start from scratch. Okay, delete. Let's have something first. Oh, it's automatically. Let's say monochrome. Generate. And radiant. Radial gradient. I'll try one more color. Is it working? Conic, radiant, radial, circle. I believe if we increase the border radius, this should work. Gradient 2, we don't need gradient 2, we only want one gradient. I think with circular border, if we make this 50%, I think this will work. Background. Why is this background though? Let's increase the border radius. Okay, something went wrong. I don't know. Padding, inset. Background color. What if we change this background color to transparent? 0 0. They're giving this as a background linear. You know what? I'll simply copy paste this and we'll see if that works for us. Grayscale. Wow, I messed up. I definitely don't want this. Let me go back and change it to radial first. Man, I messed up this. Okay, let me remove unwanted things. Okay, there's no. Yeah, do with these two colors. Why it's not working? What's the issue? You know what? Let's start over. I should have. Grayscale. We'll keep it very simple. We'll increase the border radius, border width, padding. Okay, gradient 1, and let's make this radial and copy paste. But why are there so many of these? I don't know what's happening. Okay, let's give this one a try. I'm not very sure it will work as expected, or maybe I can try with some more border generators. Mixing border, radial, background image. They are all working with the background image, background position. I don't want to make these things complicated. I want something simple. Okay, so instead of giving border like this, oops, background. Okay, I'm copying this for now and we'll strip away the unwanted things. Borders, say will background. Instead of background, will use background image source. Okay, before that something was definitely working. No, it's not working. Let me remove this linear gradient as well and only use radial gradient, and instead of background, let's say background border image. Wow. What is this? It's definitely something else. Let me stop the animation. Let me analyze this. What's going on? I have no idea. Border image radial gradient. What is this? 0. Let's say this is red and this is blue. Okay. I should learn a little more about uh, radial gradient, but before that let's see if background image border image source works. No, not working. Let me undo everything. Let me pause the animation, both the animations. Here let me try to put border image now. No, not working. Border image source, nothing seems to be working. Oh, sorry. How to do that? I have no idea. Background, definitely don't want the background here. Border box. Let's try this box sizing. Box sizing. Border box. Maybe while we are at it, we can remove this. Then we lost everything. What's happening? Border radius, border. Let's learn a little bit about borders. Border. What are all the properties that we can set for borders? Border width, border style solid, border width, this thing. Okay, I'll copy all this. Border color, border style solid, border sides, border shorthand, border width, border style, and border color. Okay, let's first set this width and style and then we'll play with color. Border style solid, border width 5 pixels. Okay, now what? Border image. We want to change the border image. Doesn't seem to be working though. There was one more property, right? Border image, instead of image source, border image. Is it working? It doesn't seem to be doing anything. Okay, what can I do? What can we do? I don't think we'll be able to set the gradient on the border. Okay, let's go over once more all the things that we have seen. Here we are all. Hey, 1 second. This seems to be transparent, isn't it? Let's see how this is done. What is this? Why are they using JavaScript? I definitely don't want to use the JavaScript here. Background image. Let's try with background image. We have we tried background image? Right. Does this work? No. Let's try to learn about some gradients. So background CSS radiant radial gradient function. Red, green, blue. Is that seems so simple. Shape, size, at position, start color, last color. Shape, size, at position defines the shape of the gradient circle. Okay, let's start with this. Circle, size, farthest corner, position, default is center. Let's go with center. And start color and last color. Red. What is 5%? I don't know. Okay. This giving position to this colors. This is really complicated. Closest side at 60%. What? Shape, size, at position. Okay, shape, size. You know what? I'll just try to incorporate this. Background image, radial gradient, circle, size. What was the size? Size, farthest corner. Farthest corner at position. What's the position supposed to be? Defines the position. Center. Start color red. Last color green. Do something. Okay, we are able to see something. Okay, so this is how radial gradient works, but you see it's not coloring the border. What's if we say border width? Border style. No. Border color transparent. Okay, but somehow we need to clip the other things now, the inside color, and only have the border color, this applied to the border. I don't know. Okay, we'll try to work. I think this is they have achieved this what we want, but I'm not very sure how exactly they're done. The many ways. Let's Probably RTL's where he describe how to create gradal borders with pseudo elements and border image. That method only works of opaque backgrounds and another income. So what do you want? Transparent. You can use background image for that. What have I used? Yeah, I have used background image. What next? It uses dashboard only with 8 background areas instead of 4, which allows for the rounded corner effects. Okay, okay, they have given this border width. I want to increase, border radius I want to increase further. You know what, let's try with this button with border gradient, background image, radial gradient, and we can work from that background image. Let me copy paste this. But where have they said the border width? Let's see, border width. Let's see what is changing. Some values are definitely changing here. Wow, I think this will be so difficult to reverse engineer. What if I create this? Nothing has changed. You know what, we'll keep it simple. We'll try to strip away other things. Let me see what exactly is changing. Background size. I see this variable is changing here. Let's forget about the background image. And they are somehow calculating. Oh, okay. I think I got it. This is how they are calculating it. Oh no, it's 50% all 50 pixels always. I don't know why that is. Background position. Background repeat. You know what, nevertheless, let's copy paste this and we'll see. Let me comment this out. Let's paste it here and let's go back and let's start with 1. Okay, let's increase the size of this so that we will be able to see it properly. Let's make it 500. Okay, now we'll play with few of these things at 100%. Let me copy paste this and then we'll modify it. Background size 22 by 22. Calculate. I really no idea what's going on. Background position, top left, top center, top right. Is it because this has top left, top center, top left, top center, top right, center right? I think they are dividing it into different sections. I think this is one section, this curve is one section, and then this straight line is another section, and then there is this another curve, a different section, and then again this. Let's inspect and try to play with it. Where is the, let's reduce the size, container size to 100. Okay, now we'll play with these values. I don't know where even to start with. Background size. You know, what if I simply remove all of this? Okay. Background size. What did I do? I removed this background size, background position. What if I remove all others? Everything will be in one place. Radial gradient, and there must be again radial gradient. No, linear gradient. Okay, that's what I expected. So there is this one radial gradient. Okay, and after that there is the linear gradient from left to right, and then again that radial gradient. I think using this we should be able to figure something out. Okay, let's see. Where were we? Okay, background size, background image. I'll say only radial gradient at center. Wow, something really messed up. Transparent. I'll remove all other things. Circle, transparent and 10 pixels. Red, and then transparent at 22 pixels. Center. How about I simply say red and green? Okay, nothing is appearing. Center. Background size. 100 pixels by 100 pixels, right? What is the 500 pixels? No, let's start with 100. Okay, something is happening. So instead of 22, I'll make it 100. Here also 100. Okay, this is a simple background radial gradient. Okay, hey, I think I got it. I think we don't need all of this. All I need to do is make the color transparent. Okay, just be with me. I think I got it. Just let me make this circle again. Border radius 50%. Okay, just be with me. So we first would like to start with transparent, right? Transparent at 40%, let's say. Let's see what, okay. Now we'll start with red at 40%. Now awesome. I think we are getting somewhere. And then we'll end with green at, I don't know, 60%. Or we can make it 80%. 70%. Oh, awesome. I think this works. Now, instead of setting this to transparent, we want it in terms of this. Let's say 50 pixels. No, 50 is too much, I think. 50 divided by 25. Transparent till 25. And this will be again 25 pixels. And it will go to 100 pixels or 50 pixels. Okay, I think we got the hang of it. So the width is 25 pixels. If I have to remove, let's encode or set this as a variable, uh, minus minus border width. Let's say I want it to be 10 pixels or 20 pixels. How to calculate that? This 50 50 pixels, 50 pixels, which is half of 100 minus var of minus minus border radius, border width. Okay, I'm just rearranging few things so we'll be able to understand it. Is it working? No, it's not working. Transparent. Let's go back to this 25 pixels. This is working. 50 pixels minus 20 pixels, it is 30 pixels. 30 pixels, why it's not working? 50 pixels minus minus border width, which is 20. Why is this not working? This trans. Okay, let's inspect it then. D square. Border width, background image, center transparent, calculate. I don't know what's the issue here. Border width, maybe I'll have to set. What if I give some default value? Is the border width not being taken? Oh, semicolon. Damn, I missed the semicolon. Okay, I think that's working now. Okay, so far good. So instead of calculating inset, no, doesn't matter. We want the border width to be fixed width, right? And let's see if we can give these as values of percentages, because each circle is of different radius. Again, so what I'll do here is, instead of, let's say I give it some percentage, 70%. This will again be 70%, and this is 100%. No, I think I went too far. Let's start with 30%, 30%, and 50%. Okay, this seems to be working. 30, 30. Oh, this is turning out difficult. Okay, you know what? Let's make this 2. Something really messed up now. Why each of this is at different position? Background size. Oh, this has to be 100%, I believe. Okay, but now these percentages are not really working for us. How about we calculate it like 100% minus some 100% minus some pixels. Okay, so 100% minus uh, 10 pixels. Transparent calc. Let's make it more than that. 50. Okay, something is appearing. Okay. I think we are on the right track. So this needs to be 50%, I believe. So this will be, let's reduce it furthermore. I'm really no idea what I'm doing. I think I got confused. Let's see, 50. This is the starting, right? So 50. We want it 100% minus a little more, little less, sorry, 40 pixels. How about that? No, this value has to be, both should be same, right? Let's start with one only. Wow. So start with one. And let's see how this value works. If I make it 60, this is going below. And I think this has to be 50. What if I make this 60? Doesn't matter. Now all we need to do is subtract some small amount, 10. Okay, how about 50% minus something? Okay, I think this will work. 4 or 5 pixels, for example, 5 pixels. Let's use this border width as 5 pixels minus var border width. Yeah, this one. Okay, now let's change border width to 1 pixels. 0 pixels. Minus 10 pixels. Okay, but let's keep it 0 and let's see if we can make this as 0. So I think definitely it's supposed to be 100. Nothing changed. 100. I'm modifying the wrong thing. 100, 50, 60. I think we are getting closer. 70. It's almost 0 pixels, right? 0 pixels. If I change this to 10, so you want to make it almost vanish. This should also be same value, right? 70. This should be 100. Let's make this 100 for now. Let's see what happens. 71. Now it goes away. I wonder where this 71 value is coming from. Is it the diagonal square? Okay, how about for timing we remove the border radius? I think that will make it more clear. Yeah. I think I got it. This 70 should be root of something. 70%, 70.7. 1 by, so this is, let's say this is the width, but radial, I think green here it is at 100%, right? let's say if it is 200%, it will go away even more. Okay, so 100. Let's try to understand this 1 second, just be with me. Let's make it 90%. So yeah, I think 100% it's taking the diagonal. What if I make it 99%? Let's keep this 90. If I make it 99%, yeah, you see, it's almost. So the 100% is actually a diagonal. So from diagonal, we need to calculate the width. So I think the simple formula, this would be one, let's say this is unit 1 pixel, or one unit by 1 unit. This will be root 2 unit. So this will be 1 by root 2. Sorry. Yeah. This diagonal 100% by root 2. 100% by root 2. Or let's search 1 by root 2. 1 divided by root 2. 1 by root 2. I think it's 0.07, so it's 70.7%. This is the magical number that we have been looking for. Finally, 70.7. Okay, how about we remove this 71? Almost getting there. Let's keep it 70, I think. Okay, now what is the width that we need? Again, this should be my bad. This should be the same value. 100. I think we can go with 70.1 approximately, and this should be the same value. Okay. Now let's increase the border width. Here we got it. Now we will put the border radius again. Now this should be exactly 10 pixels, this width. Okay. Let's put few more circles. 5. And so since the inset is 10 pixels, let's say if we make 20, then the gap and the border size is same. Okay, now I think we are at a good point. Let me remove everything else. Border width. Okay, so let me pull this variable outside somewhere here, and we'll call this separation minus or let's call them it gap. Okay, the gap will be, let's say, 10 pixels. So this value will be border width plus the gap. Let's say if the gap is 5 pixels, so this should be var minus border gap plus minus border width. Hope this works. Come on, negative into -1. Where I think I messed up. Where, how about now? Yes, but I don't see any gap between these two. Why is that? Now the whole thing needs to be multiplied by -1, isn't it? Doesn't look like so. Yeah, we'll have to definitely multiply everything by -1. Awesome. Now if I increase the gap to 10 pixels, it will be 10 pixels. Awesome. Let me see if I did everything correct. Why do we need this background to fit? I think for our purpose we don't need it. Even background size not needed. Only the background image is needed. Awesome. Border radius, box sizing border. Even this is not needed. Awesome. Now let's plug in the animation again. We'll start from 10 pixels. What's the border width? Itself is 10 pixels. Let's remove the gap to 2 pixels. Border width. I don't know. Let's just start animating and then we'll come back to this later. We'll put the second animation as well, and we'll increase the number of items to 10, 20. Refresh. Maybe we'll change some colors. Instead of simply red color, can we make it some yellowish color? Why isn't there a color picker? There should be color picker somewhere. Yeah, let's make it some yellowish, light yellowish, saturated. Okay, let me copy this value, and for green, instead of green color we'll use yellowish again, but a little darker one. This gives a good 3D kind of effect to it. I think this is good. This looks 3D. Okay, I'll plug in these two values. What do you say? Shall we stop here? Yeah, I think maybe a good place to stop. Oops, I closed something. Style. Container. Background. What if we reduce the perspective? 100. Okay, I want to change animation a little. Instead of it, how about this? If it starts with negative minus 80 and it will go to positive 80. How about negative 180? So what I want to do is I want to look it from the top only. I don't want to go to the front. or maybe I'll reduce the speed of this animation. Actually, one second, I want it to start from 0 degree, so that I'm looking at it from the front. From the front it will start like this, and then it should move to 80 degrees. Then it can go back to 0 degree. And then it should go to negative 80 degrees, right? Okay, so I think I'll have to put few more things, 25%, 50%, and 75%. So it will start with 0 degrees, then move to, let's say, 75 degrees or 80 degrees. Then it will go back to 0 degrees and then minus 80 degrees, and then again back to 0 degrees. And no need to make it alternate now. I think this is good. We'll stop here. A good stopping point. Otherwise, I can spend much more time on this. I will clean a few things, but I think. All right. Thank you.